very much at the end of the...
All right, let's put this thing to the test right away. Out here on the sand, on these fat tires. Of course, it can go through the sand, no problem. Let's see if we can go up this hill though. That'll be the real test for this bike. Lowest gear. This is gonna be sketchy. Oh no. So this is the VanPowers Manidae fat tire electric bike, and we're out here in Venice today. We're gonna go on a ride, kind of on the beach path, and really just kind of do a review of this electric bike, see what it's all about, and see if it's worth spending $2 grand on it. Now, VanPowers did send me this bike over for free to review on this channel, so that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna tell you all about this bike. So it does have a 750 watt Bafang hub motor with 85 Newton meters of torque, which let me show you how well this bike does climbing hills in a little clip right here. All right, going to do the hill test on the VanPowers Manidae. We'll do full throttle only. I weigh 195 pounds, 85 Newton meters of torque claimed on this bike. This does not have enough torque to do this hill under throttle only. So I actually do not doubt that this bike has 85 Newton meters of torque. In just a moment, I'll show you the acceleration test with this bike, and it'll show you that it actually is a very strong accelerator. But the way the controller works is it actually does not give you full access to all the power of this bike until you're going about 5 or 6 miles an hour. And there is a really good benefit to this, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. But one of the downsides is if you're on a hill and you start from zero and try to climb a hill, it's not going to let you have access to the power. Now we will do a brake test as well as a top speed test and a range test on this ride. It is a 48 volt system with a 14 amp hour battery with about 672 watt hours, 48 volt, 14 amp hour. So of course, with the 4-inch fat tires, this bike has absolutely no problem riding along in the sand here next to the water. Now this bike does have front suspension with 95 millimeters of travel. There's a preload adjustment on the left as well as a lock or unlock adjustment on the right. Now, one thing that I found interesting about this bike is it does have 203 millimeter rotors on the brakes. However, they are not hydraulic disc brakes, they are mechanical disc brakes. And I'll go ahead and show you what the braking performance is of these mechanical disc brakes. All right, 20.4 and brake. I mean, they bring the bike to a stop. So I'll go ahead and head back over this way towards the bike path, and we'll get on some pavement and I'll tell you about this bike a little bit more. So as we're going this way in the sand, this is actually a little bit uphill, which you might not be able to tell, but this does have an 8-speed Shimano shifter. I'm on gear 1 right now. You can shift up gears very easily with the little clicker on the back here. The thing that I like about this bike is it has like a mountain bike style shifter, so you can press it in and downshift multiple gears at one time. You can downshift up to 3 gears at a time, I believe. So you can get down to 1 basically in like 2 to 3 pushes, depending on where you're at on the derailleurs. Now on a fat tire bike like this, typically we see batteries a little bit larger than the battery that comes on the Manidae. So we'll see how it does in terms of range. Now, one thing that I have observed about this bike as I've been riding it is when you start this thing from a stop, it doesn't give you like all the power off the line. It actually kind of eases on the power, and I'll show you how that works in a little clip here spliced in for a 0 to top speed test. All right, going to do the acceleration test on the Manidae from VanPowers. We'll do thumb throttle only, no pedal. This is GPS. It'll lag a little bit behind the speedometer here, but just for an accurate reading. Ready, go. So this bike does not have a lot of acceleration off the line, but it does actually start to ramp up. 15, 20. Oh wow, so the accelerator keeps working up to about 24. I think it just cut off. So it'll cut you off at about 24 miles per hour, maybe a little faster, 25. So one thing that I've noticed about how this bike applies its power is if you're coming from like a stop or really slow speed, it kind of like really eases on the power in the beginning, which kind of has two implications. One is good and one is not great. Now, one good thing about the way this works is some of these higher power bikes, like when you start pedaling them with these cadence sensors from a stop, they'll tend to just give you all the power right away and kind of like almost throw you off the back of the bike and jerk you around a lot. This bike doesn't really do that. It waits until you kind of get up to like a higher speed. So right now, like rolling at a higher speed of like 12 miles an hour, if I start pedaling, it'll give me that like full power like right away. So it doesn't jerk you around nearly as much. Honestly, on some of these bikes, like if you have it on the pedal assist 5 and you start pedaling from like a stop and it just gives you full power right away, it can make for like a very unpleasant and almost kind of unsafe ride, like jerking you around and almost throwing you off the back of the bike. Now, the downside of this is if you're encountering a hill and you're going like at a really slow speed at the base of a hill, it's not really going to give you that full power when you're going at a really slow speed. So it can make it not climb hills from a stop extremely well. Now, the bike does come with a rear rack, which is pretty sturdy and seems decently useful. The bike also has a headlight and also a rear tail light. It's not a brake light, but it is a tail light. The bike also has a thumb throttle, which will accelerate you up to top speed of about 24-25 miles per hour. Now, typically for the hill test, what I like to do on these bikes is start from a complete dead stop and then accelerate at the bottom of a hill. I don't know if that's really fair on this bike because how it ramps up the power. So let's try Ocean Park here, starting with a little bit of speed, and I'll put it on pedal assist 5. I'm curious how this will do. Still not the greatest. Like as soon as you start dropping power, or as soon as you start dropping speed, it doesn't really want to help you much anymore. So maybe as long as we keep the speed up, it'll do better. So 12 miles an hour. Okay, if you keep the speed up, it'll work. So we'll see how good this thing does on range here in just a little bit, but I do want to comment on the controller and the way it applies that power versus some of these other bikes that really don't control their power off the line at all and kind of compensate with a bigger battery. Now, obviously having a bigger battery is pretty much always better. It does add weight to the bike. You know, this one's about, watch out, birdie. This battery is about 14 amp hours, 650 watt hours of energy, which isn't really great for a fat tire bike of this weight. But since it does, you know, kind of ease on that power at the slower speeds, it's definitely going to help you conserve your gas in the tank, so to speak, compared to some of these other cadence style electric bikes that do not modulate that power off the line whatsoever. You know, some of the other e-bikes I've reviewed that give you like all that power off the line, that's pretty much the biggest reason to why they don't get great range. So I can see this bike getting good range. We'll see how it does on range here. All right, a little range update. We are 10 miles. Let me tab over there. 10.9 miles, so 11 miles into this ride, and it's showing 4 out of 5 bars for range. To talk about the pedal assist speed, so pedal assist 1 will take you up to right around 8 or 9 miles an hour, 9 miles an hour till it stops helping you. Pedal assist 2, that'll bump you up to about 12, 13 miles an hour before it starts reducing power. Pedal assist 3, you feel that power kick in immediately. It takes me up to 16 and a half, 17 miles an hour. Pedal assist 4, feel that boost, 1,000 watts right away. It takes me up to 20 and counting, 20, well, yeah, just over 20, 21-ish probably. I'm gonna have to pedal a little on my own. So it's still helping me at 20, giving me about 200 watts of power. And then we'll do pedal assist 5. Feel that power kick in again. bringing me all the way up to 24. Right around 24. Whoa, we got a person on the wrong side of the road and we're going too fast here. So let's slow it down. And then let's see what I can do here. Bring us back up to top speed. It's giving me all 1,000 watts. On to 24 again. It has like a little like cutout, like right at 24, that it gives you power again. But yeah, this thing will go about 25 miles an hour. It's giving me 400 watts of power right now. So it's pretty fast. I guess this would be considered a class 3 e-bike because it's helping me over 20 miles per hour pedaling, but cannot quite hit 28. However, I don't really want to be going any faster than this anyway. But it's a fun bike. So VanPowers did send me the Manidae on my channel to review. I have enjoyed reviewing this bike. The price is listed right now right around $2,000. I do have a link to the bike below this video in the description box, along with any discount code or promo codes that they have for you to get a discount on this bike. So after 20.0 miles, it's showing 2 out of 5 battery bars remaining. So by having that smaller battery, the bike will be a little bit lighter and more nimble, but you're not going to get as much range as the larger amp hour battery packs that we see on some of these bikes. So after 20.3 miles, there is 3 out of 5 bars remaining on the battery, although I did see it dropping down to 2 sometimes while I was riding. So after riding the VanPowers Manidae for about 20 miles, let me give you my final thoughts on this bike and what stands out about this bike compared to other fat tire e-bikes on the market. So I'd have to say the most notable thing about this fat tire e-bike compared to other very similar fat tire e-bikes that I noticed is the way the controller limits how much power it'll give you when you're going slower than about 5 or 6 or 7 miles per hour, and the 2 major implications of this limited power at a slower speed. So the downside, as I mentioned, is if you're trying to go up a hill from a stop, like a steep hill, the bike's just not going to give you full access to that power until you get up to speed. So if you need to like sit there and use the throttle to go up a hill, you're just not going to get access to all the torque and power. Now, the benefit of having a bike that does not give you all the power right off the line is it's not going to be jerking you around a lot, and it's going to help save you a lot of range. Accelerating quickly from 0 up to about 5 or 6 or 7 miles per hour is where you're going to burn through a lot of your battery. And also on a lot of these cheaper style bikes, you know, bikes under $2,000 that offer this much power, they usually have cadence sensors, like this bike has a cadence sensor. And typically one of the problems that these bikes have is once you start pedaling, the bike gives you full power, like as soon as you start turning the pedals. And these more powerful bikes like the Manidae, it'll tend to like jerk you around and kind of almost like throw you off the back, and it makes it for a very jerky ride typically. But since the Manidae limits that power when you're going slow, under 7 miles an hour, the bike does not jerk you around like some of these other cadence style bikes that I am comparing it to. So while the bike does not accelerate very fast, up to about like 5 or 6 miles an hour, it really does make up for that lost acceleration. From 5 up to about 25, this bike really ramps on the power, and you know, it feels like you got a turbocharger on that thing. Other things to note about this bike, it does have massive rotors on those mechanical disc brakes, but the feedback and feel of the actual braking on this bike is not excellent. But if you do grab those levers and pull on them, it will bring the speed of this bike down. So this is just my 2 cents on the Manidae from VanPowers. Check out some of my other fat tire e-bike reviews on this channel, or you can check out the promo code and link below this video in the description box to check out the VanPowers Manidae on their official website. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I'll catch you in my next one.